All right, hi y'all. It is September and I'm working on, I think this one's going to be called quilt number at least 12. It is for a gift and it is not being gifted, I think, until probably Christmas. But I am going to get it done. I'm going to work on it now. I'm going to get it done way before then because it's going to be a bigger project and I need to have it done. So here's my notes, my scribbles, my notes, my plans. You know how I work. And this was basically, so this big 2-gallon Ziploc bag was full of John Deere scraps. Now, some of them people had given me, and these are literally scraps. I mean, this one's all cut up. So, a lot of them are smaller pieces. I've got sunflowers. I've got this one I bought for aprons. I think this one I bought. Quite a few of them were given to me by several different people. So I have all these John Deere fabrics, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, I found 4 blocks in here that I could cut out that were going to be big enough. So I'm going to have a 10-inch block here. I'll cut it at 10.5. I'm going to have one down here, and each one will be different. One here, the cows will be one, and then this harvester will be one. So I'm going to cut those out, and then I did the math of the other larger prints. I'm going to need 20 blocks at 10.5 inches. So that's what I'm going to do with these. Because they're larger prints. I think those will work well. And 1 of this, but 3 of each of the others. I think that was my math. And then I'm going to use all of, well, maybe not all of this. I'm going to use these for the corners. So there's going to be sashing and corners in between the blocks. I'm going to use this for some sashing. And just whatever scraps I pull out that I think will work. I mean, that one I can use for sashing. That'll look good with that. So that's the plan. I mean, a lot of these, like I said, they're scraps. They're leftovers from, oh, I didn't see that one. Well, I might use some of these for sashing. The sashing probably will be all willy-nilly and not match, but the cornerstones are all going to be this green. So, the first thing I'm going to do is get going, cutting out my 10.5-inch squares. And I'm just going to keep putting these videos together. And when I get to the end, after I gift it, I'll post the video. Thanks so much for joining me. I don't think you need to watch me cut, but that is what I'm working on. So today on this John Deere quilt, I have all of my squares cut. I have 20 of them. I've got them all cut. They are directional, most of them. Probably this one wouldn't matter, but they are directional. And then I've got, because I'm working with scraps, some of these are iffy. So I got 2 side sashings that I could cut out of that would make the right direction. And then I've got a bunch that I don't think it really matters very much what direction they're going in. So I am going to, there's another one of that. I am going to use these for these side pieces because all of these, because they're scraps and the way they're already cut, all of these need to go this way on the quilt. I use that. And then these, even though this I could cut that way, these pieces aren't big enough. So these will also be this way on the quilt. So I am going to get all of these with one side on anyway. I'll probably do all the right sides, and then we'll come back and reevaluate and decide where they're going to go, so I know which ones need a left side. So that is it for me today. I'll come back and show you when I get the right sides on there. Okay, so up next on this project, I have 24 of these horizontal strips, 10.5 by 2.5, and 24 of these corners, 2.5 by 2.5. I'm going to put these on here, so they go like this. And then we're going to move on. Okay, I'm moving on with this John Deere quilt. I've got these side, the right side on, and then I've got all of these for the tops. Well, poop. There we go. All of these for the tops ready to go on. So they're just going to go right. Sorry, working one-handed. Right there. I'm going to get all of those on. I'm going to do it, whatever one I grab is the one that's going to go on in whatever order. The only thing I'm worried about is the non-directional ones. I have to make sure that I don't have them doubled up on the same block. That's it. That's my only concern. So I'm going to get going on these and I'll be back. Okay, these blocks are put together. I pressed half of them, thinking ahead. I pressed half of them towards the outside and half of them towards the inside so that when I go to put them together, they'll nest. I still have these strips for the left side of the quilt, and I still have the strips for the bottom of the quilt. I'm going to go lay these out on the bed and see where I want to put them, and then I'll put those other strips on, and then I'll put the quilt together. This one is moving right along. Quick peek of it laid out on the bed. I just have to get those other sashing pieces on. Alrighty, this John Deere quilt top is together. I did put on a 2-inch border. I cut it at 2.5 inches, but it'll finish at 2 inches once I get the binding on and once it's sewn on. Just a little peek at what I've got here. And then I also decided I was going to piece it back. So I took any pieces that were 10 inches wide and I cut them from scraps. So a little bit of John Deere made it to the back also. The big John Deere anyway. This one wasn't big enough for a block on the front. It wasn't high enough. But I just stripped them together like that. I have 2 strips like this, so they'll finish at about 9.5 inches. I'm gonna cut some of this. Where's my green? Where's my green? Where's my green? I did get John Deere green for the binding. So I think they actually called it Kelly. This was another $2 a yard bargain. I took what they had left. It was a little over a yard and a half. So I'm going to do narrow strips of this between these strips, and 1 strip between, and then 1 on either side. And then I'm going to use the same yellow that I used here on the border. Is going to be the rest of the back. Before I do that, I'm going to cut what I need for my flanged, because I only have a little over 1.5 yards on this, and I'm sure that's plenty, but I'm going to cut what I need for my flanged binding. This is going to be the inside, just the little green piping with the yellow. So I'm going to cut what I need for the binding, and then I'm going to cut 2.5-inch strips to go between these 2 strips of pieces for the back. And that's what I'm working on today. Okay, so I've got this lined up. I'm going to trim this right here. I hate when that happens. I think I need a new blade. Jocelyn's been using this cutter a lot lately, and she has a tendency to, she gets it like this and then she goes like that, and I think that she has dulled my blade, but that's okay. We will make it work. It's not lined up now. Try that again. There we go. So 2.5 is what I need. I looked at how much fabric I have, and I do not need to cut the binding first. I think probably 5 of these will work. If not, I guess I can always come back and cut another one. I'm out of room. 1, 2, 3, 4. If I didn't have so many things stacked on the back of my table, I'd be all set, wouldn't I? You know, I can always use 2.5-inch strips. I'll just cut another one and then I won't have to come back if I need it. All right, off to the sewing machine. I am gonna, when I do these together, I'm gonna do them like I would do a binding. I am gonna do this and then that, and then when they unfold, they'll be straight. So, I'm off to the sewing machine. Okay, making a quilt sandwich for this John Deere quilt. So I have the backing down across my bed, because it's the biggest place I have that the dogs won't get on it. I have the backing face down. I'm going to put the batting next, and then the quilt top will go face up. And then I will do some spray basting and we'll be ready to quilt this. I know this isn't going to be the greatest part of the video, but I thought I'd show you how I do my basting. So I use 505 spray. It's a temporary adhesive. It washes out. So I use this. I lay the back, which you can see here, face down, and then I put my batting on, and then I put my top on. And then I roll the top back halfway, and then I roll the batting back halfway. And I spray the batting. Always, always, always spray the batting. I'm not sure why that is. I think because otherwise your quilt will pucker. So then I spray the batting, and I'm going to spray to this line here this time. Just helps me keep it even. So I've already done the other side, and you can see it's not super sticky, but it's enough to keep it from sliding. So I'm going to spray the other side, and I know you can't see all of it, but this was the best angle I could get here in my bedroom. It doesn't have to be super heavy, but you don't want to go too light. And I usually go back and go around the edges and put on a little bit more. And then I take and I start in the middle, so you can see the top here. I start in the middle and I smooth that right there to that line that I had as my mark. And then I go this way out to the corner. And I don't push down, I just smooth it as I lay it back down. Because it's already laid down, I haven't stretched it, I haven't pulled on it. Make sure that's even. And then I do this side too. See, you can see here, I went pretty heavy right there on that edge, and that is really stuck. So I did that. And then I roll this back again to that line where I stopped. And then I spray this piece. And that's going to take me all the way to the edge of the backing, or close to it. The backing is always larger than the quilt. The batting is larger than the quilt because sometimes they shift. If you go exactly, your edges are not going to be right and you're going to wind up having to trim part of your quilt off. Ask me how I know. I have taken it down to the wire and regretted it before. So then I'm going to start in the middle. I'm going to smooth that to the edge. And then I'm going to do this one the same way. And like I said, I'm not really pushing down. I'm pushing down a little bit to smooth it out, but I'm not pushing hard. And then this side got caught up underneath, but that's okay. It's temporary. It's not like super glue where once you stuck, it's stuck. And I can just pull that back off and I can smooth this out. So now I'm ready to get my top down. And the same thing, I'm going to spray just the batting. I'm not going to spray my quilt. So I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to go back and forth, and I'm going to use that line as a mark again. And I'm going to start in the middle, and I'm going to smooth that down. And then out here. You don't want to pull, you don't want to stretch. I got wonky lines already. I don't need to make them worse. And then smooth it down. All right, and then one more time, we're going to flip this back to where we left off, and we're going to spray all of this part of the batting. This is a workout in itself. Not to mention the workout I will get here shortly, quilting this on my regular heavy-duty machine. My regular Singer heavy-duty with the small throat. Sometimes that's a workout, just trying to get the quilt in that small opening. So, smooth it out. Smooth it to the corner. And then I check the edges. If I didn't get the edges very well, sometimes I'll go back and flip them up and go back over them. I think that this is going to be okay, like this. And I'm ready to go to the sewing machine. Whew, that was a workout. Hey everybody, Claudia from the Wee Garden Homestead here. I have another quilt reveal. And I'm not going to give this one a number in the video because I'm not sure what order these are going to be posted in. So this John Deere quilt is finished. I know you all have heard me talking about it in my whippets, but now you get to see this quilt. So this was my own design. I mean, you see lots of quilts around. I'm sure you could find a pattern for this if you needed to. I just decided I had this, and this one were all part of a big like mural piece, but it was a scrap that somebody had given me. So I just found the biggest pieces that I could, and that was how I decided what size these blocks were going to be. So I cut those, and then I cut all of the other ones that were big enough. Some of these I purchased, and a lot of these were scraps that people had given me. I had a friend whose, I think her mom did a quilt for her son. So for the mom's grandson, for the grandma, you know, the grandma did it for the grandson, and the grandson is like in his 30s now. So some of these, I'm sure, were vintage fabrics. This one came from her. This came from her. I mean, a bunch of them came from her, and I was able to, I had other ones that I had purchased myself along the way, and my daughter loves John Deere. I have done other John Deere things for her, but this is her first John Deere quilt. So I just took what ones were big enough to get these. I think they were 12-inch blocks, and then I cut 2.5-inch borders, and the little corner pieces are the same. I just tried to make sure that if I had, and I'm looking, I guess I don't. I just tried to make sure that they weren't touching each other anywhere. I did space these 4 blocks out, and then the rest of them I just tried to make sure they weren't touching each other. I am beyond tickled with this. So everything from the quilt top was scraps or leftovers or pieces I had bought years ago. I didn't buy anything new for the quilt top. The yellow border was my $2 a yard. Walmart purchase, the green was, I think, $3 a yard at Walmart, and the backing is just this yellow also. I was able to get some yardage on a little zig in my quilting. I just quilted the big diagonal X. You know, I love that one. That's my favorite. And I am beyond tickled over this. I can't wait to get it to my daughter. Not sure when, but by the time you see it, she will have it, because I will not, I won't hold it. I won't release the video until after she has the quilt in her hand. So, yeah, I'm not sure what the final measure is on this. Give me just a minute and I'll let you know. Looking for a tape measure, looking. I don't have a tape measure, hold on a minute. Okay, I know I have 2 tape measures at least. Can I find one? No, but that's okay. We can do some quick math. So the border is 4 inches and the blocks are 12. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 48, 50, 52, 54, 54 wide by 12, 60, 64. I'm gonna go with. That's what I'm going with. So I'm not going to turn it around and take pictures of the back. That's really difficult for me. But I am going to get a big picture of the whole thing, and I will get some close-ups of some of these blocks, because I'm in love with this quilt. So this back is pieced. I had a couple more of that big panel, but they weren't big enough for the front. So I cut those. These are, I want to say they were about 10 inches. They were a little smaller than the front ones. And I just put them together in 2 strips. Whatever width I had, I just threw them together, put in some green, and put on the yellow. Oop, thought that was an untrimmed string, but it was loose. And then I just quilted. The back side I quilted with solid green. Front side I quilted with a variegated green, so it was like green and yellow. Can't really tell once it's on the quilt. So that's it. Thanks so much. I'll try not to be so scatterbrained on the next one. Thanks for watching.